Released in November 2020 and boasting the most mind-blowing specs ever seen on console, the Xbox Series X, certainly on paper at least, seemed to provide PC-like performance in a very affordable package. Unlike a $2,000 gaming PC, this was aimed at everyday consumers. Before I get into the video, if you can please support me by subscribing to my channel, Red Dog Gamer, and if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Now, we all know that power alone does not guarantee a great gaming experience. Xbox in previous generations has been criticised for the lack of exclusive titles, and it also has no VR option, which is something that can be found on the PS5. So the question is, how does the console stack up, and what are my honest thoughts more than 1 year on? Throughout this video I will cover off some of the main features of the Xbox Series X, discussing the design, games, performance, the UI and compatibility before giving my final conclusions. Starting with the design, I actually really like it. Although more simplistic in nature than its direct rival, I feel this will fit most people's ecosystems much better. Yes, it has been criticised by some for resembling a refrigerator, so much so that the Xbox fridge was actually released, and that's no joke. But it is smart looking in my opinion, and doesn't try to do too much. I really dig the green concave vents on top, keeping the console nice and cool during the most intense gaming sessions. The console certainly feels solid, as you'd expect given the tech that's packed into it, and the matte black finish is one that doesn't attract those pesky fingerprints. The controllers are very similar to the Xbox One pads, with the addition of more tactile shoulder buttons and an additional shearing button in the centre of the controller. Now let's talk about games, and this is the main reason we buy a console, right? To play high quality games. So has Microsoft learnt the error of its ways, and do they offer a catalogue of games that is befitting of a machine packing so much grunt? The simple answer to this is yes, they do. They now have over 23 game studios, including the likes of Bethesda, Playground Games and Obsidian, to name a few, all working independently to bring AAA titles to the Xbox. Big games already released include the brilliant Forza Horizon 5, bringing high-octane racing around Mexico's stunning vistas, Halo Infinite, featuring the iconic Master Chief trying again to save the day against familiar and new foes, Gears 5 and many more. Add to this the future releases of games like The Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield and Stalker 2, and it is clear that Microsoft and Xbox have made big strides in regards to games exclusive to the platform. In the past, buying so many games would prove very expensive, especially when they are generally 50 quid a pop. It is this notion that makes Xbox Game Pass all the more appealing. For $7.99 a month you get the standard Game Pass, which grants access to over 300 titles on console alone. For just $10.99 a month and £3 more, you get Game Pass Ultimate subscription, which opens up Xbox Live Gold, allowing you to play with other people online, cloud gaming, additional PC Game Pass and EA Play. One of the perks of Game Pass is that Xbox exclusive titles are available on day one release. The cloud gaming also works really well and cuts back on how many games you need to install on your hard drive, but I will discuss that more when I cover the performance later in this video. With Game Pass, I have found myself really having to purchase games separately. There is always plenty to play, and the library gets frequent updates. Game Pass for me is a necessity for anyone wanting to get the best experience from their Xbox. Moving on to performance, and given that Xbox has got the tagline "the world's most powerful console," it's no surprise that the console has performed incredibly well. I remember my first impressions when I fired up games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Forza Horizon. I was literally in awe at how good they looked. The console still continues to amaze me to this day with its ability to run such graphically demanding games so well. It utilises its 12 teraflops of processing power to provide a rich and responsive gaming experience. Most titles will have separate performance and quality modes, the former prioritising a more consistent frame rate compared to the latter focusing on achieving 4K graphical fidelity. I tend to use the quality mode as I like to see how gorgeous games look in full 4K resolution. It is worth pointing out that with certain televisions the frame rate in the Xbox can be bumped all the way up to 120 frames per second. This makes a difference, particularly in fast moving games such as Call of Duty Cold War, making the graphics even more silky smooth. As well as new games being graphically enhanced on the Xbox Series X, many older titles have also been given a lick of paint and have seen some performance buffs in the way of locked frame rates on games where this was never previously possible. It is worth stating that games played over the cloud are limited to a 720p resolution, but there is of course always the option to download the game to the console if it's one that you want to experience in all its glory. One of my favourite features on the Series X is without doubt the quick resume feature, which enables you to close and reopen games without losing where you was at and picking up where you left off. A recent update to this also means that you can now pin which games you want to retain to quick resume. This is particularly useful and minimises waiting times between booting up your different games. On the subject of booting up, the load times on the Series X are mightily impressive, and no longer do I feel like my life is ebbing away waiting 5 minutes for a game to load. Games like GTA and Red Dead Redemption, which were notoriously slow on last gen, are now much quicker, and this transcends into the actual game when fast travelling around the map. The draw distance has also been drastically improved on the Series X, allowing you to see more in the distance as it can hold much more data and load it much more quickly. Ray tracing has also been added to this console generation, and this adds more detail and realism in the form of realistic reflections and lighting. In terms of the UI and the dashboard on the Series X, this is very familiar for people who previously owned the Xbox One, but this isn't such a bad thing. There has been an update recently which now means that the dashboard runs at 4K resolution, but the design is a series of tiles which can be configured to your liking, adding your favourite games to your home screen, and there's also a section for Game Pass and the store which houses all other games. Pressing the Xbox button brings up a series of options and settings to customise your gaming experience. On the dashboard you also have visibility of the most popular content around the gaming community, which is a nice touch. Before concluding, I will discuss overall compatibility with respect to the Series X. In terms of ports, there are 3 USB, 2 at the back of the console and 1 at the front. There is the usual HDMI port and also the Ethernet port for wired internet connection. There is the addition of a storage expansion slot which allows a memory card to be inserted, which has the added capability of running enhanced games that are installed on it. It does this by sharing the same architecture that the internal solid state drive has on the console. This memory card is very pricey though, and in my opinion the addition of cloud-based gaming means that this is not as much of a necessity. The Xbox controllers do not benefit from an internal battery, so AA batteries will need to be added unless you have a charge and play kit. The batteries do tend to last quite well. The Series X also has a 4K Blu-ray optical CD/DVD drive. This is a clear upgrade on the Series S model, which is all digital. Anyway, in summary, I would 100% recommend the Xbox Series X. The blistering performance combined with enhanced quality of life features such as faster loading times and quick resume, as well as a large array of games which is only getting bigger, means it is the perfect package. Yes, the addition of VR would take it to the next level, as well as better haptic controller feedback with built-in controller batteries. Nevertheless, these slight niggles do not deter from what is a great gaming experience which offers something for everyone. Lastly, what are your thoughts on the Series X? Are you a fan? Are you thinking of getting one? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening and speak to you all soon.